While the rest of their forces rallied around Wyrmrest Temple to defend against a sudden Twilight attack, the champions and Nozdormu drifted 10,000 years ago to the War of the Ancients, mere minutes before the sundering that would split the world in twain. They arrived to find Ashara's palace under siege by scores of demons, and the well itself being used to channel a great portal that would open wide enough for Sargeras himself to travel through. They were escorted by the young demon hunter Illidan Stormrage in clearing the courtyard, slaying the traitorous Paratharn, one of the earliest satyrs on their way. The team continued onwards to confront Ashara herself. Ashara was a tremendously powerful mage, and the champions were ready for a tough fight. But the queen simply dispatched her magi in her stead, and, at their defeat, left, bored of the spectacle. Thereafter, the champions witnessed Naltharian's form being shredded by the Dragon Soul, and the old gods directly interfering in his efforts to reclaim the device. Sensing that now was not their moment to claim it, they landed with Illidan, Malfurion, and Tyrande at the well's base. Scores of powerful legion awaited them, but between the three and their champions they carved a path to Verothen, Ashara's personal guard, as well as the dreaded Annihilan, Manaroth, the same pit lord who would someday curse the Orcish race with his blood. As with all battles with the Legion, this nearly ended in defeat. Illidan gave in to his demonic form for the first time. Tyrande summoned the full might of Elune. Malfurion channeled all the local wildlife upon the champions, who fought and bruised Manaroth, all of which disrupted the spell on the well. They had mere moments to claim the Dragon Soul and flee before the sundering hit, which they did, escaping to the present and the hour of twilight. Virtually every remaining Old God force descended upon the Wyrmrest Temple. 2 solitary gunships, one each from Hellscream and Alliance, circled above in support. The Twilight's hammer was doing everything it could to stop Thrall, the champions, and the Dragon Soul from being used against their master. Arcurion was one of the last surviving Ascendants, and while not the strongest, he was enough to stall their efforts sufficient before they took flight and flew. Unfortunately, they flew a bit too low, and the former mercenary turned cultist Asira Dawnslayer caught and damaged their drakes. The champions destroyed the mercenary, healed the drakes, and continued southwards. In the heart of Wyrmrest Temple was Archbishop Benedictus. We haven't discussed him yet. He's one of Alonzus Foul's personal students, one of the oldest surviving priests of the Light, and a survivor of the First War. Benedictus was broken by the Third War. Seeing the horrors and damage wrought, he came to believe that the Light had abandoned not just him, but all his people. In such a state, he was easy pickings for the corruption of the old gods, and thus was the Twilight Father born. This was the last linchpin of the Twilight's hammer. Cho'Gall had kept the organization running, but Benedictus had the sanity and forethought necessary to forge it anew. This could not come to pass, so the champions and Thrall slew the man. This, finally and truly, was the end of the Twilight's hammer as a functional organization. Henceforth, all remainders would be pockets of disorganized, raving lunatics causing local mischief. But there was still the matter of Deathwing. The temple was under siege by the converted Morchok, who, if not stopped swiftly, would destroy Wyrmrest the old-fashioned way. There were 2 other sources of siege as well. 2 more, whatever they are, which contained powerful forces of the old gods, Warlord Zonaz and Yorsaj the Unsleeping. Zonaz was an old N'Zoth loyalist, and served his master back when the old gods fought one another in the days of the Black Empire. Yorsaj was a summoner, seeking to reinforce their numbers with the creeping muck. All 3 slain, the group reconvenes with the Aspects, now including Thrall in the place of Naltharion. They quickly deduced that they would need the focusing iris in the Eye of Eternity to further augment the Dragon Soul, something the old gods knew as well. With little choice, the champions deliberately walked into the trap and faced Hagara the Stormbinder, one of the strongest shamans the world over, who had been twisted by Alakir some time ago. With her gone, the iris claimed, they would still need time to empower the Dragon Soul for use, and this is when Ultraxion attacked. Ultraxion was the culmination of all the research into chromatic, nether, and twilight dragons. An abomination, glutted beyond sanity with unstable energies, Ultraxion was to loose the Hour of Twilight and obliterate all remaining resistance, kicking off the destruction of the world entire. Thankfully, with the aid of the Aspects, the champions dismantled Ultraxion. Thrall fired the powered-up Dragon Soul at Deathwing, damaging him severely, but not fatally. Deathwing destroyed the Hellscream gunship and flew off, seeking to reach the Maelstrom as quickly as he could to retreat and recoup once again. Realizing what a catastrophe this would be, the Champions and Aspects gave chase on the sole remaining gunship, the Alliance frigate Skyfire. On the way, some of the surviving Twilight Dragons attacked the gunship, headed up by Warmaster Blackhorn, probably the last ranking Twilight's Hammer survivor. He did not survive long, and the Champions dropped down onto Deathwing's back for the worst raid boss in the game. The Champions pried Deathwing's Elementium plates off one by one, which left him vulnerable to another blast from the Dragon Soul. Horrifically wounded, Deathwing crashed into the Maelstrom. All present believed Deathwing was gone, and in a way, they were right. What was left of Deathwing rose from the Maelstrom. As mentioned before, Deathwing's very form was so infused with burning, unstable energy that it could barely maintain cohesion, hence the need for his Elementium armor. With armor gone, all that was left was a molten mass of madness, seeking to unleash all the energy he had left and craft a second Cataclysm. And with the world already so badly injured from the previous one, it would not survive a second. The Aspects channeled what they had left, all their titanic-gifted power into the Dragon Soul. Nozdormu, critically, crafted a permanent time lock on events. No time alterations could happen before or hence to this moment. And the Champions, the heroes, did everything in their power to stem the tide of cataclysmic destruction. With this tremendous effort, the madness of Deathwing was erased for good. The Cataclysm had ended, taking with it the power of the Aspects, leaving the world without the protection of the Dragonflights and their charges. And on distant shores, the drums of the Hellscream War continued unabated.